The winter season is almost here. Are you ready? Over the next 30 minutes, the Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team will get you winter storm ready. We'll discuss what to expect this winter and how you can stay safe in several situations. We'll even visit one of the area's most popular outdoor winter venues. It's all next on 15 Fury Alert, a Wayne Winter Weather Special.
This is a 15 Fury Alert, a Wayne Winter Weather Special. Brought to you by Mutton Power Equipment and Ice Be Gone Magic.
When you think of winter, of course you think of snow. But in an average year, how much snow are we supposed to pick up? If you were to add it all up from when the snow first starts to fly in the fall, when it ends in the spring, when we're talking about up to your knees, maybe up to your hips or over your head. On an average year, we should see 33.5 inches of snow. Now that's about what we picked up last winter, 32.2. Our driest year wasn't much. It barely piled up. We only saw about 12.5 inches of snow, and that was in the winter of 1968 to 1969. Now, could you imagine 80 inches of snow? That was our snowiest year ever, 81.2 inches of snow. It happened in the winter of 1981 to 1982. But snow isn't the only thing we see during the winter months. Rain, ice, and sleet can occur with our variable temperatures. Just like in the summer, the National Weather Service issues alerts to let you know what's coming. These alerts are issued as an advisory, a watch, or a warning, depending on the intensity of the event. An advisory is the lowest level, issued for events that have a minimal impact on our area. A watch will be issued days in advance of a storm, giving you time to prepare. A warning means the winter blast is almost here or is already happening.
When the next winter blast arrives, not only will the Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team provide a detailed forecast, we are also committed to constantly updating Wayne.com with the most up-to-date information. All of our latest weather updates are available through a number of sources.
Well, the simplest thing I can say is that Wayne.com is always available wherever you are. Whether you're at work, you can check us on your desktop computer. If you're at home, you can check us on your tablet. If you're out and about, you can check us on your smartphone. We're also available to give you information via text alerts. And on Apple devices, we can push what are called iOS alerts to notify you of impending weather situations.
In the Weather Center, we can project how the storm will evolve with our high-resolution forecast model called Microcast. Since we update this model in-house 4 times a day, we can provide detailed descriptions of just how much snow is forecast to fall in your neighborhood. When the snow starts to fly, we will track the bands of snow with our Live Doppler 15 Fury radar. By using our online interactive radar, you can control the map and track incoming winter storms. And you can do that with us to find out whether there's snow, rain, or a mix of the two on the way. As weather unfolds across the region, we'll keep you posted on what we're seeing. Check out our Wayne TV Facebook page and follow the Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team on Twitter using the handle WayneWX.
The NOAA Weather Radio is an important tool to keep you weather aware, not just in the spring and summer, but also in the winter. During our weather radio programming events held earlier this year, many of you asked when the weather radios will sound alerts in the winter. Here's meteorologist Sam Lashley from our local National Weather Service office with the answer.
Well, the NOAA Weather Radio will not sound very often in the winter. We only sound the alarm for very extreme winter weather cases, such as blizzard watches, blizzard warnings, and really extreme winter weather, which around here doesn't happen too often, fortunately.
Remember, if you have a standard weather radio like this one, always keep it plugged in. The batteries are only for backup in the case of a power outage. It's also a good idea to have fresh batteries near your weather radio in the event of an extended outage.
If you're looking for some winter fun but lacking the winter weather, not to worry, there's a place for you right here in Northeast Indiana. The historic toboggan run at Pokagon State Park will definitely satisfy your need for speed.
Toboggan run actually got started back during the time of the Civilian Conservation Corps. And this is that group of young men who worked during the Great Depression. And right near their camp was this big hill. And so during their free time, they'd have fun. And one of the things they did was take advantage of these nice long hills. And they sort of enhanced it by making some wooden chute. And they did it just for fun. And then, people from town, the local communities, they came out and they saw this. Like, wow, that's kind of neat. So, we'd like to do this too. So from those real meager beginnings began this, what is now one of the top toboggan runs in the Midwest.
In the late 30s, the 2 to 3 foot tower grew to 20 feet. Then in the 40s, a second track was added. The refrigeration was installed in 1971, so sledders could enjoy the slopes without snow or ice.
Under each track is 12 tubes that carry this refrigeration fluid. It's like the Freon like you'd have in your refrigerator at home, and it chills it. It comes out of the chiller building about 0 degrees, goes up in the tower, flows through these 12 tubes, and the concrete gets very, very cold. And we get just a very thin layer of ice on that concrete, and that's all we need.
And it's not your everyday freezer.
Imagine your freezer at home, so it's got to be a small little motor inside with the refrigerant going through it, through the coils. So yeah, you have to house it in the whole building.
So now you know how it all works. But what are the best conditions for tobogganing?
The perfect weather condition would be below freezing, because if the colder it is, the less our refrigeration has to work. Actually, if we get snow, that's added work for us, because then we have to get the snow off. We don't toboggan on snow, we toboggan on the ice. The unique thing about Pokagons is that you come off of that 40-foot tower, then you have all these undulating hills. To scoot along on your bottom at 30 miles per hour for a quarter of a mile is just an experience you went off in half. And you hear people screaming and yelling here. And it's not a scream out of fear, it's a scream out of just pure joy. The screams just kind of come up out of you. You can't help it. It's so much fun. And it's one of those things you recapture that childhood joy.
The park is open now through the end of February. To find more information, prices, and times, you can find a link to their website on Wayne.com. Still to come on 15 Fury Alert, we'll show you some tips on driving safely this winter. Plus, I&M talks about the challenges of cleaning up after an ice storm. But first, let's test your weather knowledge. True or false? It must be 32 degrees or colder outside for snow to fall. The answer when we return.
Welcome back to 15 Fury Alert, a Wayne winter weather special. So, true or false? It must be 32 degrees or colder outside for snow to fall. The answer is false. Snow can fall when the surface temperature is above 32 degrees. If most of the air above the surface is 32 degrees or colder, the snowflakes will likely make it to ground.
During an ice storm, power outages are not only a huge inconvenience, they can also be very dangerous. But with the right planning and safety precautions, you can reduce the impact an ice storm may have on you and your home. As with any type of weather, preparation is the key to staying safe. That's especially true when it comes to ice storms.
You can be thinking about having extra blankets, extra coats around the house, which most people have. But when you want to go into something more significant, you want to be looking at generators or possibly alternate heating sources such as fireplaces and propane tanks.
When trying to stay warm, one of the biggest hidden dangers is carbon monoxide poisoning. People will seal up a room or their house trying to keep in the heat. But without fresh air, especially if you run an auxiliary generator, carbon monoxide can build up to dangerous levels.
Carbon monoxide is the big danger. People always die in the winter because they don't properly ventilate their systems, and carbon monoxide will kill. There's no odor there. You won't know it. You just simply end up falling asleep and you never wake up.
Be sure when you use any type of heater or generator, you follow the directions carefully. Ensure the area is properly ventilated so that carbon monoxide can get out and fresh air can come in. Never run a generator in a closed garage, and never close a flue on a gas fireplace in order to trap in more heat. If you don't have a safe way to stay warm during a power outage, your best option is to find an alternative place to seek shelter.
One other thing you need to remember during an ice storm is patience. It can take a while to get the mess cleaned up and the power restored. Although the storms looked much different, the aftermath of each looked very similar. The ice storm in December of 2008 and the straight line wind event on June 29th of this year left numerous trees down and thousands without power. Take a look at the comparison between these two storms. Both storms left thousands without power for a week or more. One due to heavy ice accumulation and the other 90-mile-an-hour winds. In both cases, the city made shelters available to keep people safe from the elements. Once a storm hits, power companies head out to make their plan of attack.
That's one of the first things we do, is we assess the damage.
Clearing trees and addressing hazardous situations is part of the assessment process. The next step is helping essential services.
Our first priority is public safety. We're going to restores service to human service facilities such as hospitals, police stations. From there, we will restore larger pockets of customers down to progressively smaller pockets of customers, and then eventually down to the individual customer.
While the cleanup process may be the same, there are some differences when it comes to winter and summer storms.
In most cases, when it involves an ice storm or a winter storm, you can see that front coming, and it allows us to take some preparations. That, in fact, is what happened in 2008 when we saw an ice storm that hit right here in Fort Wayne. We were able to mobilize some extra workers from outside of our company and get them here before the storm even hit. In the springtime, you'll have a sudden pop-up thunderstorm or a tornado, and you don't have that kind of notice before the storm actually hits.
Even though we can give you more lead time for an ice storm, it's still best to have a plan in place. As we mentioned earlier, be sure to have food in your home that you can consume without electricity and a way to safely stay warm.
Not only can snow and ice impact your life, extremely low temperatures can bring significant health risks. Being exposed to cold air for an extended amount of time can lead to frostbite.
Well, essentially what happens is our blood supply, when we're cold, our blood supply tries to go more towards the central part of our body, our heart, lungs, brain. So what happens is our vessels at the digits, the toes, and the fingers, the blood vessels tend to constrict. So you do tend to have less blood supply, blood flow to the area. Obviously your fingers are going to feel cold. You can get kind of numbness and tingling as well, those types of things. But anytime you have, cold fingers or nose or ears, those are the kind of things you want to protect.
When these signs are spotted quickly, frostbite can easily be reversed by simply getting inside and warming back up. Running the numb skin under warm water can also help, but you have to be careful.
When you have a frostbite, your sensation is down, because of the injury to the tissues, the fact that your blood isn't flowing there, your nerves aren't working properly. You can actually potentially burn yourself if something's too hot and not even know it until it's too late. So you do want to have things warm, you don't want things hot.
Now, if after a number of hours the color of your skin does not return to normal, or if you're still experiencing numbness, you should seek medical attention.
15 Fury Alert continues with what could influence our weather this winter. Plus, get some tips and tricks for shoveling snow. But first, let's test your weather knowledge. On average, 1 inch of rain equals how many inches of snow? Is it A, 5, B, 10, or C, 15? The answer when we return.
We're back with more 15 Fury Alert, a Wayne winter weather special. Now some weather knowledge. On average, 1 inch of rain will equal how many inches of snow? The answer is B, 10 inches. While the average is 10 inches, it can vary depending on the temperature profile of our atmosphere at the time it's snowing.
After shoveling snow out here, you don't want to end up in here.
One of the things that happens is people go all year long, lead a sedentary lifestyle, then the snow falls and they get out there and they start doing what is really a very physiologically stressful activity.
A person's heart and back receive the most stress when shoveling.
When you do snow shoveling, which is sort of a weightlifting type of activity, you have sudden spikes in the blood pressure. That sudden spike in the blood pressure puts a sudden additional shear force on the artery that you can imagine, instead of just someone sort of just gently tapping your arm, you're getting a hard fist to the inside of the artery, and that is very stressful on the arteries and any vulnerable or fragile plaques within the vessel.
When these plaques break off, it's the recipe for a heart attack.
If you start having a heavy pressure type feeling that's making you feel short-winded, you start sweating a little bit, that sort of thing, you should absolutely immediately stop. You're done. Go see at least your family doctor, go see perhaps if you have a cardiologist, absolutely see the cardiologist.
So how can we make snow shoveling less stressful on the body?
As pertains to the lower back, it's best to use your knees, not to bend over with your back like this, but rather to try and use your knees with a little bend, come in, take some snow up, and the closer you hold the handle down to the shovel part, the less strain it's going to be on your lower back.
Now let's talk shoveling strategy. As we taped this segment, only 1/10 of an inch of snow had fallen in Fort Wayne. But I'm not going to let that stop us from learning some good tips to help us when the snow really does come down. The first tip, you want to spray your shovel with some nonstick cooking spray to make sure the snow slides right off.
Then, set your shoveling boundaries by shoveling the edges of your driveway first. This keeps the big piles of snow off the edges of your driveway. Okay, now we're ready to get down to business. What you want to do is move the snow the shortest distance possible, so that means starting in the center of your driveway and moving out, just like this. It may be more trips back and forth, but you'll be lifting smaller amounts of snow this way.
All right, we're all done. That wasn't too hard, but it's going to be a whole lot harder when there's actually a lot of snow on the ground to shovel. But hopefully, these tips will make it a little bit easier. For News Channel 15, I'm Nicholas Ferreri.
Now that the snow has begun to fly, the roads will start to get slick and we'll all need to remember our winter driving skills. So I came all the way to Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio to visit Drive Team and take their winter skills driving class. The 4-hour clinic began in the classroom. Former police officer Don Heckelmoser started the class with winter driving preparedness.
The snow brush or ice scraper or a combination of both to brush off the snow. If there's one thing I hate is to see somebody driving down the road and their windows are all covered in snow. And while you're doing that, you're brushing snow off the car, get it off those headlights, get it off your tail lights.
It's also a good idea to have an emergency kit, a blanket, and possibly some sand or kitty litter to help with traction. Next, we